Hey, welcome back to True-Moto-Resto, and in this video we're going to talk a little bit about the BMW S1000XR and the 1,000 kilometer review. Stay tuned. So this video is basically just an update on my BMW S1000XR. It now has just over 1,000 kilometers on it. I've done the first service with BMW, and yeah, so far I'm really enjoying the bike. It's I think everything I hoped it would be, and I think the biggest challenge I had, to be honest, with the bike was not the bike itself, but just more me getting used to it. I think the expectation that I had was that it would feel more like the Africa Twin, although that's really not what I wanted out of it. I didn't realize the you know, how much I might miss the Africa Twin when this one came along, and I compare this to the Africa Twin not because they're supposed to be the same identical sort of bike, but because that's what I had before, and I traded it in on this one. So while this does everything better than the Africa Twin, with the exception of a couple of minor things it's not supposed to do better than, I was finding for the first 700 kilometers I was really missing my Africa Twin. You know, I thought, did I buy the right bike? Why did I trade it? But the truth is, I've I think once I got kind of between 700 and 1,000 kilometers in, I've absolutely kind of fallen in love with this thing. And I finally got it through my head that, you know, they're not meant to be the same type of bike, although BMW does market the S1000XR alongside its adventure bikes. This is absolutely not an adventure bike. It's definitely a sport touring bike. And as such, you know, it behaves a little differently. Both from the perspective of, you know, handling, performance, although the seating position is somewhat similar, as I said before, to the Africa Twin. This thing is it's quite a bit different, but it's very comfortable. I was surprised. I wasn't sure about the seat, to be honest. This seat is very hard. But the shape of it, as I've explained before, is kind of a dish shape, and it does support very well. And so because of that, your backside really doesn't suffer at all. I find that this is actually more comfortable than the seat on my Africa Twin. It's been quite comfy, and I put it to the test earlier this week, where I rode 3 hours down to the dealership for its first service and 3 hours back, and I gotta say it was quite comfy. The thing that I really enjoyed, and I've never had before on a bike, is the cruise control. So now I have to say I could not do without that on a new bike going forward. I've gotten used to all of the controls. I haven't yet tried the dynamic pro mode on this yet, which kind of, I think, gives you a lot more power and throttle response and whatnot. But I took it back to the dealer for at least the first service. I figured I had to go back anyway to get the rev limiter removed, so I had them do the full first service on it, just for peace of mind and warranty assurance and that kind of stuff. That wasn't cheap. It was $410 Canadian, which quite pricey. But yeah. What would I change about this bike? Not much, to be honest. Not much at all. I think there's probably aftermarket bar risers available for this. The only reason I say this is because I've had an Africa Twin, and while you can stand up on this bike, like if you're trying to stretch your legs after during a long ride, and you want to stand up and ride just for a few seconds, not legal in all places or countries, but if you wanted to do that on an adventure bike, it's very easy. In the Africa Twin, it was super easy. Stand up while you're holding the bars, and it's It's very comfortable to do. This is a little bit, the bars are just slightly lower. If they were an inch higher, it would be better. But again, this is not an adventure bike, but it's still possible to do it. And, you know, aside from that, to be honest, there's not really too much I would change on the bike. It's, you know, from what I understand, these bikes are a little mechanically noisy, I will say. It's just kind of the nature of the beast compared to some of the other inline fours. The only other thing I could kind of do without is when you first start the bike up, it doesn't really matter whether it's, you know, already warmed up and hot or not. It starts at every time at a pretty high idle, and then it kind of brings itself down. But that kind of seems unnecessary when the bike's already hot and warm. But that's just kind of the nature of the beast, I guess. That's kind of the way it works. But that I could do without that kind of thing. But it does everything really well. I'm very happy with it. And the service at BMW has been really, really good. They've been really good about. Well, they were very good with the sales experience. They've been very good with the service experience. And you know, I guess for the amount of money you pay for one of these things, it better be. But yeah. Aside from that, I have got nothing but good things to say about it. As I mentioned, I think in the prior video, I did put the radiator and the cooling oil cooler protectors on there because you don't want stones getting put through that thing. And if you're wondering why my camera is kind of wandering around a little bit here, it's because I've got a new gimbal thingamajigger that I was purchased for my birthday by my kids, and so I'm just kind of getting used to how this thing works. It's kind of a Osmo gimbal. You can control everything on your phone from this little handheld joystick, and it kind of does pretty cool stuff. So yeah, so as I said, the rev limiter is off now, so it will now allow me to rev to 11,000 RPM, although I haven't yet done that. So that's one thing. And then, yeah, what else did they do in that service? The oil and filter change, of course, and then they go through and they check the chain tension and the lights and suspension settings and the steering bearings, I guess, and all of that kind of stuff. So they just go through it front to back, and that's fine. So that's been done now, and it's not due back for an oil change now until 10,000 kilometers, and I might do that one myself. I have the BMW oil here. I have the BMW filter, which they want you to use if you're going to do it yourself. So that's fine. I will do that, and yeah, it's all good. So I'm very, very happy with it, and I finally bonded with the bike after 6 hours on the road the other day, and it's a beautiful bike. I gotta say, I'm very, very pleased. I did see when I was there the M1000XR. So this is the S1000XR, and they had in the showroom an M1000XR, and it looks very similar, although it has an Akrapovic silencer. It has carbon fiber wheels. It has different rear sets. It has different levers. It has bar end mirrors, a lower windshield. And while this engine is, I think, about 170 horsepower, the M1000XR is kind of, you know, full power, which is, I don't know, I can't remember, 225 maybe, 245, something in that area. But it's a bit of a monster. It has a carbon fiber front fender on it, and the price difference is quite staggering. Like these list in Canada, I think, for about $22,000 Canadian. And the M1000XR list is just over 35,000 Canadian. So by the time you pay your taxes and license on the M model, the sales guy said out the door you're 40,000, a comfortable, easy $40,000, and that's crazy. I don't think I could splurge for that kind of cash on a single bike, that's for sure. But anyway, yeah, it was a good looking machine, but certainly more power than I need. The quick shifter is still excellent. It works really well. Upshifting and downshifting, it's still silky smooth. It's nice to have. First time I've ever had that on the bike. I think, as I said before, it works really nicely. And I think fit and finish, I mean, this is a BMW, so I mean, suffice it to say, fit and finish on this bike is really, really, really good. And I've got no complaints whatsoever on that. I think one of the things that kind of I wasn't sure about when I did the first video was all of these kind of controls. Like this kind of seemed to be, this little wheel here seemed to be getting in the way of the turn signals, but I'm quite used to that now. And as I said, I think in my first video, it's one of those things where I figured I'd get used to it, and I did. So that's fine. I actually find all the menu settings and everything quite easy to use now that I'm used to it. So that's all worked out quite well. I really do enjoy how easy it is to navigate through all of that sort of stuff. And as far as fuel economy goes, I mean, a lot of folks don't really care about that. Some folks do. But I'm getting about 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers, or about 375 to 380 kilometers per tank of fuel. So it's not too bad. It's been reasonably good. And then the other thing that I've actually only just started to try is the Dynamic Pro driving mode. So once the rev limiter comes off, there's another driving mode that gets unlocked called Dynamic Pro. So there's kind of progressive levels of performance and throttle response and whatnot that you can get on the bike. So there's a rain mode, which kind of delivers power a little bit softer. There's a road mode, dynamic mode, and then Dynamic Pro. And in Dynamic Pro, there's a lot more, I guess, heavier or harder throttle response, a lot more power delivery. And you can change and tune some of the specific parameters within Dynamic Pro to your own needs or desires or likes. So for instance, you can, there's 3 or 4 settings for wheelie control. So you can have it where it really doesn't wheelie at all versus it'll, pull the wheel off the ground a little bit or a lot. And basically what it does is apply the rear brake automatically to bring the front end down, depending on how you've got the setting set up within in the menu. You can change and tune the ABS for the braking. You can change and tune the traction control, and I think the throttle response as well. So I've started to play with that a little bit. Basically, I have it set up right now, so it's only marginally more aggressive than the regular dynamic mode. I'm not generally an aggressive rider, so I've just kind of started to play with it a little bit. I don't need the front wheel getting lofted in the air too high, but I just thought I'd give it a try and just kind of see how I like certain things. I mean, the options are there, so I just figured I'd give it a go. So I'm just kind of working my way through that and playing around a little bit. So yeah, so far so good. So yeah, the BMW S1000XR is a great bike. And I guess I would, looking back at the Africa Twin versus the XR, I think the best way I can describe it, it's like having an old pair of boots. Like the Africa Twin was my old pair of boots. It was comfortable. I was, you're well used to it, and everything fits good, and you just wear them every day and everything works great, kind of thing. And then you go out and you buy yourself a brand new pair of boots that might be 10 times better, but you still kind of miss those old boots for a while. So that's kind of the way it's been. But now I think I'm fully bonded with the XR, and looking forward to more miles. As I've said before, there's not a lot of stuff happening in the workshop during the summer months, but there will be videos getting dropped, because I can't sit around and do nothing when the rainy days come along. So most of my time this summer will be doing farm work. Once the Skull Bandit's done, we're going to be moving on to the RC8 track bike, the Red Bull edition. And then after that, I've got a couple of small things to do on this Bandit. Basically, carbs I think I need to be gone through on it, and fork seals. And then there's a couple of other things that I'm going to be posting in an upcoming video as well. So I'm going to save those. I'm not going to show you that now. So thanks for watching. Again, as I said, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.